All right, it's 9 o'clock. We'll begin today with the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning. Welcome to the September 23, 2024 meeting of the Board of County Commissioners work session. My name is Kevin Cook. I serve as the chair this morning. Commissioner Aaron Mays is not able to join us, but Commissioner Bill Rippon is here.
Good morning.
And then Jonathan Merzon filling in for the County Council. Good morning.
Good morning.
We have a presentation this morning from the Public Works Department on a new program that they're wanting to do with the commercial driver's license. Kurt, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you for having me this morning, and thank you for the bravery in attending today's meeting. This training program, we've been working on it, HR, myself, I guess we could say the Teamsters, County Counselor's Office. We've been working on this for quite some time, and I'm glad we're to the point where the Teamsters has looked at it and they've given a tentative blessing. And we have a contract both for new hires and existing employees, which I'll touch base on in a little bit. Thanks to the County Counselor's Office for helping us with those contracts. I will come before you within the next 2 or 3 weeks, maybe sooner, with a resolution that really kicks off this program. And we hope it's successful. And with that, I'll get into the formal program, the presentation. First of all, you're going to want to know why we're doing this. Well, number one is since probably early 2020, when we were in the middle of COVID, prior to that, we seemed to be able to fill our positions. I wouldn't say that we were 100% filled, but we were definitely at 70 to 80%. Since COVID, we've had averaged maybe 15 vacancies in our field maintenance positions. That includes both the 4 districts and our bridge crew. And that's really unacceptable. We've been able to get by because we've asked a lot of our employees, and we've been able to handle all snow and ice events that have come before us. But, you know, you're one 50 or 100-year storm away from failure because we don't have enough employees pushing snow or putting chemical on the pavement to remove ice. So that's the number one reason this training program was proposed. We had a job fair maybe 18 months ago. It was in the spring of 2023. And I noticed then that there were a lot of people that seemed interested in this kind of work, working outdoors, working with equipment, working with a team, but they didn't have a CDL and they couldn't afford to get one on their own. So that was really kind of the thing in my head that started the idea of maybe we can create one. Also, what happened in February of 2022, the law changed. Prior to 2022, February, we could hire employees that didn't have a CDL, and we could train them ourselves. They could go take the exam, and they had a CDL. We can't do that any longer because these training programs or the trainers have to be registered with the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. So that's the reason for the program, and now let's get into the program itself. Our partner on this program will be Washburn Tech, and I have provided you a handout that Washburn Tech has about their commercial driver's license program. It basically is offered 8 times a year, and if you take 360 days and divide by 8, what do you get? 45 days. It doesn't work that way. They seem to have a collection of classes maybe every 30 days apart, but then during the holidays they have a long period where they don't offer the class. So on average, it's offered 8 times a year. It's offered over a 4-week period. There's classroom and behind the wheel time, which is in compliance with the federal regulations, and the class will run from 8 to 4. So that will be for 20 days. The training cost is $4,000, and I'll talk more about that $4,000 in a little bit. Okay, the general program requirements. Again, it's available to new trainees. And by trainees, I mean new hires that do not have a CDL. These are not new positions. These are not extra positions. Basically, we're taking existing field positions. We're temporarily downgrading them, so to speak, during a probationary period. We bring them on board. They work with our field staff for 6 to 8 weeks. And if they're interested in continuing work with Shawnee County, if they're interested in moving forward with the training program, if we're interested in them, then we would sign them up with Washburn Tech to go through the formal 4-week training program. It's also offered to existing employees that have a Class B CDL, and that would apply to road maintenance, bridge maintenance, and our mechanic positions. Because, again, there's a Class C driver's license, a Class B CDL, and a Class A CDL. The training program will get the employee to a Class A CDL. This is a single opportunity with Shawnee County. We don't want to hire people that cannot pass the program. It's not that rigorous of a program. Washburn Tech has said that they have very high success rate. We have no inklings that any of our new hires would not be able to pass the program. There'll be a contract, and a lot of the things that I'm going to talk about going forward will be included in the contract. It's an agreement that basically says we will pay to send you through the training program. We'll pay up front. You pay us back over a 2-year period, an approximately 2-year period. And then also it says that the employee or the new hire has to work for Shawnee County for a 2-year period. Normally on new hires, Teamsters hires in the field, we have a 120-day probationary period. There may be times because of the schedule with Washburn Tech, especially after they've worked in the field for 8 weeks, there may be a time where, you know, we can't jive, or we can't agree with the schedule with Washburn Tech. So there may be an additional delay to get an employee into the training program at Washburn Tech. Therefore, we're willing to extend the probationary period as needed for an employee to have the time to get through the training program. And these, again, I want to reiterate, these are not new positions. They are positions that are borrowing a temporary vacant field maintenance position. We're providing a probationary period so that they can get trained. Once they get trained and are upgraded, it's not a promotion, but upgraded, then they become a permanent member of our staff. So that's an important thing. This is not a promotion. So things that normally occur during a promotion do not occur with this program. Basically, it's an upgrade only. I suppose that means, depending on the step they're on, they go up vertically. Is that what that means, Angela, pretty much? Yep. So, and then there's also probably, would there be a probationary, since it's not a promotion, I would guess since it's an upgrade, there wouldn't be a probationary period after they attain their CDL. That's right. So that's why it's important to note the difference. So again, these trainee positions correspond to vacant, active, and permanent road maintenance, bridge maintenance, and mechanic positions covered by the Teamsters MOU. Again, the trainee positions are temporary, they're transitory, it's a probationary period. When you're on probation, you don't have near the rights you have as a permanent employee. So that's how we're able to do this training program under a probationary period. As you'll see, and I'll talk about, is if you don't pass the training program and attain a Class A CDL, you will not be able to remain in that trainee position. There are no permanent trainee positions. to make it as clear as I possibly can. So as far as the HR policy and the MOU between Shawnee County and the Teamsters, all other things apply. This is not unique. Those positions are not unique in that respect. Okay, again, as I talked about previously, successful completion of the training program results in an upgrade, not a promotion, to a road, bridge, maintenance 2 position. Again, the 2 position corresponds to a Class A CDL or a full mechanics position. And we're going to start this by limiting the number of trainees within each district, within each mechanic crew, within the bridge crew, because we don't want to be overwhelmed at first. We want these trainees to trickle through the program. We want to limit the number of trainees at any one time in a district to 2 people. This will help us manage the program, and I think it will be a much better. In other words, you're not, all of a sudden you've got a district with 3 people in it, and you've got 4 vacancies. We don't want to suddenly cram 4 trainees into that district. It will overwhelm those people that are already in the district. So, employer responsibilities. These are all things that are generally covered in our contract. There'll be a unique contract again for new hires, trainees, and existing employees. The contracts are similar, but they're not the same. So the employer, Shawnee County responsibilities is we'll pay the course costs up front, which is right now, it's $4,000. If the employee, the trainee, can come up with some kind of tuition assistance or some kind of grant outside of Shawnee County, then of course we'll pay the net cost up front. We will not pay the trainee for the cost of transportation, housing, or subsistence while they're in the training program. Basically, where this program, I think, shines is we pay the employee or the trainee during the time they're sitting in class at the training program. So they come to work for us. They work out in the field for 6 to 8 weeks. They go through the training program, or they go over to Washburn Tech East and take this 4-week training program. All that time, we're paying them to sit in class. This is where I think it's a shared cost type thing. We pay up front, we pay your salary while you're in class. We ask that you pay us back for the cost of the class over a period. And if during their probationary period, we have to extend their probation because, again, we're not able to align our schedule with Washburn Tech's schedule, and maybe there's a delay between getting them into a training class, we will extend their probation. There's no problem with that. And if once they get their Class A CDL, they will be immediately upgraded if the reason for the probation extension was strictly because of class availability. If, though, during the probationary period, there were other reasons to extend the probation, maybe performance issues, maybe disciplinary issues, then once the employee is successful and attains their Class A CDL, conceivably, they may not get upgraded at that point. They may have to wait till their probationary period ends. So again, if everything's clean, their probation was extended because of strictly classroom availability, once they get their Class A CDL, they upgrade immediately. If there's other things involved that muddies the waters, they may have to go through their training program before they are upgraded. Okay, what's the responsibility of the employee? Well, once the Shawnee County pays the $4,000, the employee, through the contract, is obligated to reimburse Shawnee County for what Shawnee County paid. Again, $4,000. Regardless of whether the trainee is successful or fails to attain a Class A CDL. So successful graduates who attain a Class A CDL they are required to continue their employment with Shawnee County for at least 2 years beyond course graduation. Now, 2 years works out pretty sweet, and I'll get into that more in a little bit. If an employee fails to successfully complete the training program and does not attain a Class A CDL, this will result in the resignation of the employee, the dismissal of the employee, or possibly reassignment of the employee to another vacant position in Shawnee County. Okay, now let's say you're successful, you maintain your employment, or you continue your employment with Shawnee County. The idea, and again, by contract, you have to work for Shawnee County for 2 years. So the idea is that during that 2-year period, not quite 2 years, there would be a $1 per hour deduction on their paycheck over 50 pay periods. So 80 hours in a pay period, 50 pay periods is almost 2 years. 80 times 50 is $4,000. So we're talking about a $1 per hour deduction on their check. Again, for much of this is after they've been upgraded. So, for example, you might think, well, what will be the impact of that $1 per hour? Well, if the trainee starts on step 1, and they successfully get through the training program, their pay will increase by $3.06 an hour based on salaries as of today. If they have a little bit of experience working in the field and they are able to start on step 5, the difference between the trainee level pay and the Class A CDL level pay is $3.31 an hour. So I think you can see a deduction of $1 per hour will not place a hardship on these employees. Same way with the mechanics. They come in as a trainee, they upgrade to a mechanic. The difference in pay on step 1 is almost $2.80 an hour. On step 5, it's exactly $3 an hour. So if you take $1 per hour from that, the employee still benefits, the employee is still ahead. Unsuccessful graduates who resign or are dismissed, or successful graduates who voluntarily leave employment prior to the end of their 2-year contract period will be required to immediately pay the balance of their financial obligation. Obviously, I'm not a lawyer. I don't know all the ins and outs, the legal, subtleties of this. What would be involved? Would we forward this to a third-party collection agency? Would we arrange with a future employer that the employee continues to pay back? I don't know all that, but essentially, we would expect the employee to pay the balance of their financial obligation. We would be able to take so much out of their final paycheck, which would probably not cover their full financial obligation. And from there, it might go to a collection agency or some other means. And that's it. In a nutshell, it's real simple. We hire people that want to work in the field, that think they want to work for Shawnee County. They don't have a CDL, but think they would like to have one. We bring them on board. They work with us for a while. Everything goes great. We interview them. They interview us. If both parties want to continue on, we get them in a training program class with Washburn Tech. We pay the cost of the class, and the employee, they upgrade when they're successful, and they pay the county back $1 per hour for 50 pay periods, and hopefully it's a win-win for everyone. Any questions?
Bill?
Yes. You called it an A CDL. Are there different CDL licenses?
Yeah, there's a Class B. Many of our present employees have a Class B CDL. The problem is most of these training organizations do not train to a Class B level. They train to a Class A level. Washburn Tech is an example. So when we send trainees over there, their program, when you graduate and you're successful, you get a Class A CDL. And so that's also why the program is available to existing employees, because we have a number of employees that have a Class B CDL. And we presently differentiate between a B and an A as far as salary goes. So if you have an existing employee with a Class B CDL, they want to attain a Class A CDL, they can request to go through this program also.
Okay, so a B, that what lets you drive a tandem axle truck? Or?
Yeah, anyone remember?
Yeah, B's the tandem and then the full trailer.
Okay.
Trailers,
Yeah.
the A?
Yeah.
Okay. The other question I had is, and maybe this is an Angela, could this be adapted for other areas like Parks and Rec or something like that? Because Bill, did you want to say something?
Absolutely. It's a pilot program that we're doing with Public Works, and if it's successful, yes, we'd like to roll it out to the other departments who have CDL drivers.
Well, Angela, I was maybe going in a different direction. Our health department has been struggling for nurses for some time. If we had somebody who was able to be hired on that maybe had a lesser degree, but they're wanting to pursue a nursing degree, and now nursing takes a little bit longer, but maybe they have their associates and they're going for their bachelor's, whether this might be some way for us, again, they get a little bit longer, a little bit more robust, but again, for a pilot program with a commercial driver's license, I'll be very interested to see how this works and iron out some of the kinks in it. I want to thank you and everybody at the Public Works Department. Kurt, your initiative on getting this done, I think this is a great program for us to look at getting started, and how can we get commercial driver's licenses into the Public Works Department. And I mean, I think this is worthy of us pursuing. So your cost is minimal when you're looking at the benefit long-term to your department.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the way we see it.
Okay. The only concern that I have is we get employees that get their commercial driver's license, they get their part paid off, and then they go on to other venues where maybe they're earning more salary or higher salary, but that's always going to be the case. We find that within the Officers Academy, with the Corrections Department, we find that within law enforcement. We're always going to be susceptible to people taking our training and moving on to better careers, and so, but then again, if we can get those individuals in those spots filled, I think this is key.
Is it possible to hold their license so if they do take office, the license doesn't go
No.
with them? That would,
No, because
Because-
again, we need their license. As soon as they upgrade to Class A CDL, we want them out in the field utilizing that license to the benefit of Shawnee County.
well, I was thinking if we train somebody and then they go off and work for some private, could we hold their license and maybe that company would pay the difference? I don't know.
I don't think that we can hold their license, but I know that, for example, the ambulance service, AMR, they do training, and they have a similar program for training, and they pay the training, but it's on a contract that you'll repay it, and then if they don't, then there's a collections for it.
And go back to, I think, Kevin, your previous question. Yes, there are going to be times where an employee leaves prior to the two-year contract period. We understand that. We're hopeful, though, that will be more of an exception than the standard. But that's also a reason why we're not offering this program free of charge to the trainee. We feel the trainee has to have some skin in the game, so to speak. They have to take on some risk, because we don't want to turn into a CDL mill.
Right.
And, yeah.
So the only remaining question I had is, Angela, under our current program that we have with Washburn and with other universities for pursuing more education, generally there's a match between, or there's a component between the county and the employee further in their education. In this case, we don't have a match. They're required to pay back the entire amount. Is there a reason why we differentiated the match as opposed to making them pay back the entire amount?
Because we're paying their salary the whole time when they're in school.
Okay.
And that's why we decided to do it that way. They're gonna get salary and benefits all along the way. So we're taking care of them on the front end, and they're paying it back on the back at $1 an hour.
I just knew that question was going to come up, and so I wanted to be able to put that out there as to why they're paying it back. All right.
I have one other question. Once a person gets a CDL license, are they then susceptible to random drug tests? Is that normally
Absolutely.
the procedure?
Yeah. Yep.
All right,
Any other questions?
I'm done.
All right, well, I look forward to you bringing this forward for us to have on a regular agenda for approval.
Okay.
Thank you, Bill. Kurt, sorry.
Thank you.
Bill, I don't think we have anything else scheduled for presentation this morning, so that will then bring us to public comment. Is there any public comment this morning?
Good morning, Commissioners. Henry McClure. I find that a very interesting presentation today. I wanted to come down and talk this morning about the appropriate use of the sales tax money. And it's kind of a coincidence that this topic would come up. I tried to bring forward a company that does CDL for economic development help. It's called 360 Driving Academy. Their offices are over in Fairlawn Plaza, and their driving range is out in East Topeka, I think at the end of Seward. What was the downfall of our deal with the city, Jetto, and Go Topeka County, whatever, was the fact that we weren't able to strike a deal with Washburn Tech. We came very close. We matched we had a fee arrangement. We were going to make a donation and purchase the equipment. And we were just not, at the end of the day, we weren't able, it wasn't a price thing. We just weren't able to dovetail the whole deal into a deal. There came to a point where, as a real estate broker and developer, it wasn't really my duty. I made the introductions, we got things going. I got the first drafts of the contracts, work sent between each other, and then it just became the owner of 360 Driving Academy and Washburn Tech dealing together, and it ultimately didn't happen. And I hope that we reached out to 360 Driving Academy, allow private enterprise a shot at getting some business. One of the interesting things about 360 Driving Academy is that they're a nationwide company, and they have they understand all the grants, the scholarships, and I hope that they had a shot at least making a presentation to earn the county's business. And we're back again to everything being so incestuous in this county, Scott Smathers came from Go Topeka, who's running the tech now. But I really think that we've got to dig deep into the appropriateness of where our sales tax money goes. And I thought that would have been a legitimate thing to help with some infrastructure, or really if Go Topeka would have got involved somehow, some way, they might have been able to bridge the gap in a way with Washburn that myself wasn't able to do, or 360 Driving Academy was able to do. But when you're against everything that one guy brings in, absolutely everything, you don't really get a shot at that friendly, warm, fuzzy feeling. Because the number one way you guys could lower property tax is the efficient use of that sales tax money. You're not looking at it like capital, and you're not spreading the capital around where you should be to create a broader tax base. I'm going to send a core request this morning because I'd really like to know how much money sits in the bank of the not committed money and where that money could go to. I'm just thinking it's somewhere around 11 million, but we'll see. And I also think about the Israel at the last JETO meeting. We can't even find a way to give $1,100,000 to the disadvantaged people. Well, I think the disadvantaged people here are some of the taxpayers and some of the people that are about ready to lose their homes due to the high property taxes. And I think that there's a way to pivot with that money, because the way the system has worked, that there's just not as many disadvantaged people just out opening businesses. So we could use that 1,100,000 in ways to keep people in their homes and figure out, I mean, it seems it comes down to government. You guys can do whatever you want, whenever you want. The city buys a hotel and then you allow your contractor go to Topeka just to give away money willy-nilly that doesn't have anything to do with economic development. So it wouldn't be, I just don't think it would be that difficult to come up with a program and justify it and look the taxpayers in the eye. Well, these are the disadvantaged people. We've created them. Government has created the disadvantage. When I'm talking to people out there in the public, there's just such a huge range between the disadvantaged, the fixed income people, the government, and the people running the government. And we've got to bridge that gap. And we're going to really need to change how we do things. So I hope my good friend Kurt here gives 360 Driving Academy a shot. They're good people. I think it's a beautiful program. I hope you guys can implement it, but I hope you can give private enterprise a shot. Well, one last thing. Nobody brought up the fact, didn't we lose $1 million on the Wolf camera deal? Wasn't there a program going in that the taxpayers, or JETO put up $1 million? We pat ourselves on our backs far too often for maybe sometimes some of the misguided deeds. But we're not broadening the tax base and we're not increasing the population. Until we do that, we're going to be exactly where we are. Thank you for the opportunity to talk to y'all this morning. Appreciate it.
Any other public comment this morning? Any administrative communications? Bill, anything? All right. With that then, we're adjourned.